also a member. And after him, we'll go for break. Yeah, point of order, Senator Diri Doi.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm coming under Order 43. Mr. Chairman, mine is by way of advice. I want to appeal to my colleagues.
This is to him. It's to him. It's to him. No, it's...
Sir. That for every ministerial nominee, Order 43. For every ministerial nominee, the state caucus should please be permitted as a caucus to say something. And I'm sure that will also bring some bondship between the nominee from that state and senators from that state. Thank you.
Distinguished Senator Diridoye, you made a suggestion. I don't have to put it to vote, but I'm sure you have heard the reaction. And let me make a reference. Senator Albert, please take your seat. You know, without prejudice to any state caucus that wants to talk on a nominee who passed through the National Assembly, if the Benue caucus nominated Senator Jeff to speak on their behalf, we took that, but we also realized that actually what we need to do better is to call the minority and the majority leaders to just say something on behalf of all of us. And then the nominee takes his or her bow and go. And I think this is better for us. Is it our view? Thank you very much. Point of order.
Mr. Chairman, Order 43. And I just want to draw the attention of the chairman that this order is not strictly adhered to, because at the last stanza of the order, and I read with your permission, the terms of the proposed statement shall be submitted in detail to the President of the Senate when his leave to make it is sought. I can see some of my colleagues, they've not. Including you. They've not. No, I'm just saying, I want to draw the attention of me. No, including you. That there's a need to submit any case of personal, to the President before it is made.
Please, I entertain the point of order from Diri, just to allow us have an understanding in the chamber. I don't think it's going to be any useful to continue to call point of order on things that we can ordinarily just permit to go. We have already agreed, if it is a former member of the National Assembly, the majority and the minority leaders will speak on our behalf. So no more point of order on this. I think it's more dignifying for us. And state caucuses, we appeal to state caucuses that we are not undermining you. We are only trying to have a process that I think is straightforward and plain. Thank you very much. The next nominee, of course, a former member, even a present member of the House of Representatives from Imo State.
Well, the next nominee to be screened is Chukwuemeka Nwajiuba from Imo State, being led into the chamber by the senior assistant to the president on legislative matter. Well, Chukwuemeka Nwajiuba is a serving member of the House of Representatives. He was called to the Nigerian bar in 1989, and he had his law degree in the University of Lagos and a PhD at the University of Jos. Well, he had served as member of the House of Representatives Committee and chairman on Land, Housing and Works from 1999 to 2003, before his returning back to the House of Representatives in 2019. He's now mounting the podium to first screening by the Senate.
Distinguished colleagues, we have a nominee from Imo State, a member of the House of Representatives, Honorable Emeka Nwajiuba. Honorable Emeka Nwajiuba was a member of the House between 1999 and 2003. And presently also serving as a member of the House of Representatives. Honorable, you are welcome, and I want to take the opportunity to also welcome our colleagues from the House of Representatives who have accompanied you. Honorable nominee, we are in receipt of your CV. You are at liberty to emphasize on some aspects of your CV where you feel you need to explain in detail, or anything you might have omitted, but you think is crucial and important and helpful that you tell this Senate. Once again, you are welcome. And this is an opportunity for you to make your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my Senate President and dear compatriots. Thank you also, learned and distinguished members of our National Assembly's Senate. It is an honor and a privilege to be in your presence to make myself available as a nominee from Imo State to the service of a federation, the Federal Executive Council. I also, please, would want to acknowledge members of the House of Representatives who have accompanied me here by the special request that was made to them by the leadership of the House. Thank you all members, and thank you everybody. My distinguished Senate President, members of the hallowed Senate, truly speaking, I got this nomination, I heard of it yesterday the same way when the Senate President announced it. My resume speaks only about what my academic qualifications as a law graduate from 1988 through to my PhD in law from the University of Jos as scholarly. In between all of this, I have done a myriad of things, mostly political, because when I left the chambers in 2003, I tried to run for governor in Imo State. I became perhaps the first serving member to migrate out of the PDP into an opposition party at the time. It was novel at the time, but we forged ahead. Being one of the youngest at the time, it also seemed novel to have young people come do new political foray. So really, I've done a lot of politicking, going around the country, worked with Mr. President, trying to get him elected several times. Some of the times we lost, and lately we've won. In winning, we articulated a roadmap for Nigeria that we felt would address some of the myriad of problems we figured we've seen. Mostly, why do Nigerians not eat what they produce and tend to produce what they do not use? We've tried to forge policies around all of this. Lately, as chairman at the TED Fund, I've tried to address, in my capacity within this limited period, what I think the academia should be addressing, research methodology, and to bring the triple helix into focus so that industry and the academia will share in what it is that the country needs to go forward. Nigeria is ridiculously embarrassed. We do not produce anywhere shoe polish. Kiwi closed 12 years, 13 years ago. You do not have an integration. We asked, for instance, to look at what we can do with UBEC. If, for instance, Nasarawa State has the largest deposit of TAC, what do we do with the Ministry of Trade and Investment so that the industries, Ministry of Education can only buy under UBEC all the chalks that are produced in Nigeria? In that way, TAC in Nasarawa becomes meaningful. Those are the policies we are looking at in government. It is up to government to implement which ones they desire. There are so many initiatives. Silica. I'm sure that Governor Oji will remember the blueprint that was developed for the Aba International Glass Factory. Part of it is because in Azum Mini, there's a lot of silica that occurs. It's the same thing occurring in Jigawa and the streets out of Dutse. Part of what silica has done is revolutionize the template for solar power. Many people need to, first of all, have a floating glass factory in Nigeria. Nigeria exports tin. The main work for tin is to be the underlying carriage for silica that has been melted at 2,900 degrees to be able to float. So if you don't have float glass, you will never get to the solar panel industry. And until you have solar panels, a solar panel cell plant is less than $10 million. Total Nigeria imports of solar panels in a year exceed $897 million. Now, that integration is a policy government can rework. If the Ministry of Power, for instance, since in Nigeria today, for you to build any generating plant, once it is below 9.9999 megawatt, you are free to operate without a license. But if you have a codified system that brings everybody who has solar panels to run those out, Ministry of Power can integrate further generation of light if you have that connect between the industry and it. And these policies have been things that I've been working on steadily for a couple of years. And I think those are things that I think when we get into government, we'll take a holistic review of all the integral factors that make Nigeria work. Nigeria is a huge and beautiful country. From agriculture to solid minerals, to intellect and manpower, we have everything.
Senate Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President, sitting as the chair. The nominee has told us his DNA. The DNA is PDP DNA. Well guided. Well guided. And so we are very proud of this, our product.
It's our export. You can have it now. We have exported it to you. Good product.
And from just this brief statements he has made, it's very obvious that he will be a very good ambassador of the National Assembly
Very fantastic.
to the executive. And so,
Agree to loan him.
we have also asked those from his state in the minority. And they say they have no problems with the nomination of Emeka, our own. And so it is our pleasure to say that we in the minority haven't loaned him to all the other places he has.
We have.
And where he's finally birthing, that he can now take a bow.
The majority leader, Senate leader.
Mr. President, sitting in the chair, my distinguished colleagues, I find it quite hilarious, to hear the minority leader talk about our candidate in a very possessive, dimension, even though he was in about 3 of our antecedent parties, and he was only in PDP for a very short period of time. But that being the case, Mr. President, sitting in the chair, I quite find the candidate quite exciting by the brief that he has given. And with the support that the minority has gotten from the senators, from Imo State, and with the quite a large delegation, that I can see of our colleagues from the House of Representatives, I would rather say that we invite the candidate to take a bow. And to say, in addition, Mr. President, sitting in the chair, that these are the kind of, you can see his narration is coming out of his heart and his head. These are the kind of innovative thinkers, that we need, to really drive the process of policy, in ministries, departments, and agencies. And I think these are the kind of qualities that we expect, and these are the kind of people that we should encourage at every point, to come into the leadership positions in this country. With that, Mr. President, I will urge my colleagues to support the majority opinion that the candidate be allowed to bow, and take a bow and go. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Well, thank you very much, the Senate leader. Distinguished colleagues, I served with Honorable Emeka Nwajiuba in the House between 1999 and 2003. If I'm not mistaken, he served as chairman, House Committee on Works. Was that? Okay. Of course, he did very well. And you can see the views expressed by the two leaders in the Senate, that you have what it takes to make a very positive difference. You are going to be on that side alone. And talking about loan, I think I will just make a remark on what the minority leader said. The party carries out smithing. So when people cross over, they receive the best reorientation, and they can be like this. We are waiting for more. So, Honorable Emeka Nwajiuba, when you are there, and we have said this to two previous nominees, Senators George Akume and Godswill Akpabio, that while we want to work together with the executive arm of government, those of you that are opportune to be on that side but who are here with us before, you will have a lot of work to do to ensure that the relationship remains cordial, that we work as a team, that those that may have not had opportunity to be on the National Assembly side and don't understand the sentiments and sensibilities of members of the National Assembly are taught, or at least enlightened and advised, to also show reciprocity in ensuring that we work together. We are going to be stiff with our oversight. We are going to ensure that our committees always ensure that we have the proper implementation of whatever budgets we passed. And that is not to mean hostility, but to mean responsibility. And I'm sure that this time around, ministers, when they're invited by the members of committees of the National Assembly, they will come unfailingly because we are supposed to be on the same page. With these remarks, we want to wish you well. We want to also pray for you that whatever portfolio you are given, that you are able to bring to bear this kind of passion, desire, and the heat coming out of you in show of capacity and experience and patriotism. Best of luck. And we can now, let me put the question first. Well, if it is only Maduki who put the question, otherwise you would have taken your bow immediately and leave. But is it the view of the Senate that the nominee takes a bow and leave? Mr. Nominee, you can take a bow.
That is Chukwuemeka Nwajiuba. He's been screened. Well, I think that tradition of